What does She magazine stand for? Stay tuned to Carolina People. We'll tell you all about it coming up next. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're in Timmonsville, South Carolina at the Fox 43 studios. We're focused on arts and cultural events in the PD, and we're visiting with Melia and Rodney Berry, the publishers and owners of She magazine, which is based in Marion, South Carolina, and serves the entire PD. Melia, Rodney, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Incredible opportunity all week. You know, we've been highlighting some spectacular events on Monday and Tuesday, and of course tomorrow and Friday. It's been a real highlight. Being over here at our Florence studios, obviously being based out of the beach, but having the bulk of our viewers in the PD, which really matches real well with y'all's coverage area. Let's talk real quick about yourselves. Melia, are you originally from the area?
Yes, I am. I'm originally from Mullins.
Oh, great, in Marion County.
Right, Marion
And Rodney,
County.
you're from?
No, I'm just right down the road. I grew up in Dillon.
Oh, God. So we're here in Florence County. We've got representatives of Marion County and Dillon County. That covers 3 of the primary counties in the PD. That's amazing. Rodney, when you begin thinking out all the plans, your involvement over the years in print and in other publications, what was the primary motivator to launch She magazine?
I tell you, I'd done the traditional shoppers where you appeal to a whole community of folks, and got to thinking of want to do something a little bit special. And from a marketing standpoint, I started thinking about the women folks. As you know, it's just such a powerful audience. And from a business standpoint, it had all the features to really become a successful business. Of course, I couldn't do a female magazine on my own, so that's how Melia came in. She put the female touch to it.
Absolutely. And you have to have that. You know, it's amazing. Oftentimes a guy will think, well, I can give the woman's perspective. It's just not that way. It's just not that way. How long have you been writing, Melia?
Well, I actually began writing when I started to work with the magazine. Had always kept just little journals, just my own private thoughts, but had never actually written anything for print until I started to work with the magazine.
Mm-hmm. And was there I'm sure there was a heck of a lot of thought going into the idea of naming a publication. You know, right now you got to think of so many things. First, you got to oftentimes go online and see if a name's taken, if a website has been locked up. A lot of thought went into locking up the name for She magazine. How did that come about? It
was truly a long process. We did kick around a lot of names, and it seems like when we chose a name that we would go online and see that it was taken. Melia, why don't you explain what She stands for?
She stands for Spiritual, Hip, and Empowered, and that's really how the name came about after we did kick around some other ideas and research some things that we liked, and I think a couple were taken. Then we just sat down and started to think about what the magazine was going to be about, which was a cool or hip magazine for women that would empower women through the messages and the writings that we had in it. And, of course, we knew it would have a spiritual tone to it, and that would be the base for the magazine. And then as we kicked all that around, we realized we could embody that in S-H-E, she. So,
oh, yeah. Spiritual, hip, and empowered.
Right.
Golly, Rodney, that must have been tough as a transition for you, having been involved in penny savers or weekly shoppers. That was a big transition, you know, to recognize that the female perspective is the one that oftentimes we got to begin focusing on. How about your background and other publications that enabled you to say, my wife knows what's going on?
Well, my background really is composed of the advertising side of the house, and I just saw so much potential in there, but truly I was a fish out of water when it came to the female issues. Like you say, I can think I know something, but when it's relayed over, women see right through it. My wife often says, I submit many ideas to the magazine, and I'm here to tell you not one of them's made it today. She says that the women folks will recognize that right away. So I stick strictly to the business side, the distribution, and the advertising.
Well, I hope you keep writing those ideas down, because there may be a He magazine in the future. Have you all contemplated now with the success, real quick, the date? How long have you all been in existence?
Our first issue came out in March.
Okay.
So it really happened very fast. From that first issue, it took off really unbelievably well. We knew there was a market for a women's magazine, and if we did it really well and presented it in a certain way, we really felt it would be successful, but we're really just blown over by the success we had. And getting back to the he question, we have had just numerous calls from people in other areas asking that we do take the publication into that, and we're just sort of leaving that in God's hands. We're going to let Him lead us as to where we go. And also, we found that we do have a lot of male readers who send us notes or stop us on the street and say, "We'd like you to know that he reads she," and they want to know if we're going to have a he publication. So we are thinking about that.
Melia, I can tell you there are hip and empowered men. Obviously, your husband's here.
And I will have input on this.
Yeah, definitely. So in March '03, when you're celebrating your first anniversary, the kickings around of a he magazine or another one could surely come out. That's wonderful. In God's hands, of course. Can you tell us about your regular contributors to the magazine? Some of the folks that, I don't know who can best speak on this, since it is She Magazine, but of course you've been in the industry for a heck of a long time, Rodney. How do you all go about selecting regular contributors?
These are all newfound friends and friends that Melia's have made, so you probably best to speak on that, Melia.
Yeah.
Great.
I have to say, as with everything that's happened with this magazine, it's just truly been an incredible blessing how everything came about. When I first started putting this together last January, of course I was completely and totally new with everything, so I just said a prayer and stepped out and asked God to send me the people that we needed to be in the magazine. And from that, it was just amazing the response that I got just from being out talking to potential advertisers. That led to just a wonderful group of women that I have met that write, and then we continue to get people who send us stuff every month wanting to contribute.
So you solicit materials as well as folks just submit on their own?
Well, unfortunately, or fortunately maybe I should say, we haven't had to actually go out and solicit. We just had such wonderful response from day one. We get emails with women wanting to send stuff, and we welcome that. We have someone new in there practically every month because we like to keep having fresh material as well as our existing writers. But we've just been very blessed in having great writers who send us stuff.
So you've had submissions from lots of local writers.
Right.
We've had them all through the PD. We've had somebody we're featuring this month is the former governor's wife, David Beasley. She has a piece in there. So we've got it from the whole array of folks, through writers that's been doing it for some time, new writers that have such a talent that we're able to recognize. So we'll feature just about anybody that has a great message to send.
Great. Rodney, you'd said oftentimes all authors or writers will email you.
Right.
What is that, if a viewer was interested, would you take submissions from viewers all over, let's say, our viewing area? You know, Robinson and Scotland County or Ulrey County or all over the PD.
Exactly, and we do get those. They just will email us something that they have written or contact us about sending something. And again, we welcome all the submissions. We'll read through them, and if it's something we can use, we'll of course let them know before we print it, or that particular piece of work may not be something we can use, but we invite them to send in something else.
And the email address they'd want to use, Rodney?
Is it She Magazine
She Magazine Mail at AOL. We also have a website. It's shemagazine.net.
Okay.
And we have lots of information on there. We have, it's sort of like a mini version of She Magazine each month. We put some of our most popular stuff on there. And we've also had a few stories that have just been extremely popular, and we'll get calls with women wanting us to send out extra copies of the magazine, and we'll take those stories and put them on the website so they can actually go on the website and read also.
That's amazing. This is really exciting. And I understand you all have some real creative front covers. I've seen, I know, the October and November editions. I guess the December edition is out. It's coming out. It is out now. Spectacular. You all have had some amazing front covers. I think there's a little story behind that.
Yeah. We wanted to have something really different and, not just have photography on the front. So we actually have local artists who submit their artwork, and we use that on the front covers.
Golly. That's a very creative idea. How did they, like your March edition, when it came out, had you contacted artists to let them know, or did you do it on that first edition, or was that for future editions?
Yeah, I actually had contacted a very popular artist here in Florence. Her name's Linda English, and she did our front cover. We have a theme each month that we base the issue around, and I let our artists know what the theme is, and then they paint from that to try to capture what the magazine's going to be about for that month.
We've got a couple of minutes, so I wanted to talk about some of the regular columns or topics that are featured in the magazine. For viewers who may not have yet seen the magazine, of course they can go to shemagazine.net. Could they find out some of the topics that are featured if they haven't yet seen it?
Sure.
I think all our topics are on our website, and we have a very versatile lineup. One for the men, if I may speak from the men, is Mac from Mars. He's our only male writer that we have, where ladies send in questions, and Mac's pretty frank the way he answers them. So that's one of our many. But Melia, you tell me about a few more of them.
We of course do features where we focus in on women, like profiles. We have a feature called the Ladies' Room, and it's just kind of a fun thing where we'll have a picture of a woman and she answers several different questions. Some of the questions are really meaningful, and some are just kind of silly stuff, so that's fun. We have a Shop Talk feature where we focus in on a business. We actually have several doctors who author a column each month called The Healthy Woman, and we feature a different doctor who speaks on women topics, and that's really liked also. So there's just a lot. There's a lot in it, from the nonsense stuff to the serious stuff like medical advice. We try to stay away from any type of news release type article. We really go for the story behind that, the woman's story behind the news release, so to speak. So it's really just warm and friendly.
We've got about 30 seconds. I just want to ask real quick, feedback from the community. It's been good last 9 months?
Awesome.
Don't know where to begin on that. Part of the funnest part of my job is distribution. It takes me 3 days to distribute them, but a lot of times before I even get to the rack with the bundles, I have folks pulling them out of my hand. So we've been so blessed. The feedback has been tremendous, and it really inspires us to make each edition better than the one before.
Very definitely. Rodney and Melia Berry, She Magazine, spiritual, hip, and empowered. Amazing opportunity to highlight all the many of the events going on in the PD. There's so many. Check it out. The distribution's coming out of Marion. If you can't find one, go to shemagazine.net or give them a call over in Marion County. Rodney, Melia, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
It was a pleasure for us.
So
we enjoy your show here very much.
Keep watching. Stay tuned to more Carolina People coming up next. Good morning. Welcome back to Carolina People. This morning we're in Timminsville, South Carolina at the Fox 43 studios. We're focused on arts and cultural events in the PD. And we're visiting with Beverley Hazelwood, the president of the steering committee for the Florence Center for the Arts. Good morning, Beverley.
Good morning,
Thanks so much for being with us this
Thank
morning.
you very much.
Incredible opportunity to highlight so many events going on in the PD this week. Obviously, just had Bill Mills on a minute ago to talk about the Masterworks Choir and his directorship of music there at Central United Methodist Church. Can we talk real quick about yourself? Are you originally from the area?
No, I'm from Spartanburg, but I've been here since '77, so that's close to being original.
Yeah, since '77. That's a heck of a while. I would have imagined.
Right.
So you moved down here and
Moved here from Baltimore, actually. My husband's work brought us here. But I'm from Spartanburg, and now the PD is home.
Yes. Do you still have family in the upstate?
A mother. Yes, I have a mother.
Uh-huh. Do you mind me asking, is your husband from Baltimore? And
No, he's from Camden. We were in
Okay.
Baltimore
right.
for work at Johns Hopkins that he did.
Sure.
And we have 2 daughters. And they don't live here anymore. They're away. They're grown.
Uh-huh. Golly, I can't imagine Beverly would have 2 daughters that are grown and out of the area. That's
Married
amazing.
and going to be a grandmother.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
My mom just had her first grandchild very recently. How about your study of music? I know that's the focus, obviously, is on the Florence Center for the Arts. Have you been focused on music for
All of
many-
my life, yes, since a young child, and studied, and then had opportunities to perform or be part of a performance by being at the right place at the right time. I've had golden opportunities. Presently, I serve as the Masterworks accompanist. I've had experience in organ with churches. I was, for 19 years, the organist at First Presbyterian Church here in Florence.
Great.
Had experiences in Charleston, organist there. Accompanist here for the Florence Little Theater. For the Civic Ballet, I even accompanied some of the ballet students. So I've had wonderful experiences. Music experience.
You really get into a whole plethora of activities. I'm sure when you get in one, folks ask you to volunteer for others. Early in the week, we had Candy Holcomb in from the Hartsville Community Concert Association. As she was talking about some of her activities when she first got active with them, then the activities abound. When someone's recognized as a good volunteer or even a good paid employee, just the opportunity to expand into other volunteer activities come
That's
about.
right.
How about the tenure down in Charleston as organist?
It was at Citadel Square Baptist Church, downtown church.
Did you commute, or was that?
No, we lived there.
You were
I
living
lived
there for a
there,
while.
yeah.
Okay, great. That was since you've been here. You lived there for a little while and came back. Or?
No, just I lived there before I got married.
Oh, great.
And then shortly after I was married, we were still in Charleston, and I played the organ there.
Right.
Then we moved to Baltimore.
That's amazing.
Then to Florence.
And so you almost exclusively focus on the organ.
Yes, yes. Although I do a lot of what we say gigging around, doing piano projects for people, accompanying school chorale groups and that sort of thing.
Are you playing with any groups on a regular, obviously on a regular basis? So many groups you're involved with, but is there any particular focus?
My focus is on the Masterworks Choir.
Okay.
Accompanist for that. Yeah.
How did you first get interested in the Florence Center for the Arts?
The Florence Center for the Arts effort has been an effort that's sort of waxed and waned for a number of years, since I think back in the 80s. But in 96, I was asked to be part of a steering committee that was an offshoot of the Florence Area Arts Council then. That's how I became involved. We were asked to serve on a committee, or I was asked to serve on a committee that would do a feasibility study to see if Florence could support a Center for the Arts. So that's how it began, just being part of this committee that was a part of the Arts Alliance.
And that was in the mid-90s.
Yes.
But the idea has been revolving, you said, since the early 80s.
Yes, it's waxed and waned. Support here and there, but not enough support to really get the ball rolling, to build a facility.
And this is for a full-fledged performing arts center.
Yes, fine arts center that would maybe house visual arts as well as performing arts.
So it could house, I was about to ask what all it could house. When folks think of visual arts or performing arts, a lot of viewers just can't kind of picture that. I know I have difficulty as a non-musically inclined person of picturing exactly what visual arts are and performing arts. What are those examples, and what all could be done?
Well, with the performing arts, of course, it could be a home for the symphony, which we need. It could be a facility for the Masterworks Choir to use, for the ballet companies. It could be a facility that maybe even theater would be part of. And in terms of visual arts, of course, we have our museum. There are always traveling visual arts that could be housed there as well from time to time.
Sure. How about community and civic organizations that have been involved in developing this plan for the Florence Center for the Arts?
Greg, in 96, when I became involved with this, our committee went to the symphony, we went to the ballet companies, we went to the Florence Little Theater. All of these different arts agencies were asked to submit a wish list of what would be the ideal setting for their performances. And we took that wish list, our committee, and began to visit other facilities in the state. We visited the Coker Center. We visited the Coker Center in Hartsville. the Newberry Opera House, the Peace Center. So we assimilated the wish lists of all of these different agencies to see what their needs would be.
When was the steering committee formed?
In '96.
Okay. Who's on the board? I'm sure you must know.
Yes, we have a lawyer, Renee Josie's on the board. We have Mark Vinson, an accountant. We have interested people representing some of these arts agencies. Mr. Mills is on. And then we have people who've just for years wanted to see such a facility built out of the interest they're serving on this committee.
How about efforts that you've made so far in terms of planning for the Performing Arts Center, the location? I mean, obviously you traveled all over. Those are incredible efforts. Have you begun thinking of, if the efforts are taken to fruition, if all the funds are raised, and I want to talk about that in a second, have you begun thinking about potential locations?
Yes, we know that we want to be downtown. There's a strong effort in Florence now for revitalization of the downtown area, which includes a broader area than just Evans Street. Revitalization is something that's going to take place from Lucas Street, the Darlington Highway area, all the way to Cherokee Road. And any of those areas for downtown is what we're interested in being in.
Last Monday, we had Mayor Riley on from Charleston. It was so exciting hearing him talk about so much of the downtown revitalization and all the efforts that were made. Just hearing him talk about parking garages was exciting. Making a decision in an early stage to make classy parking garages. And over time, you've seen cities around the country change to make aesthetically attractive a parking garage. And so a commitment to a downtown has to start at a very early point if you're going to really revitalize a downtown.
That's exactly right. And fortunately, I've been part of that downtown redevelopment revitalization board. They've asked me to serve on that, and it's very exciting, and Mayor Riley was wonderful when he came to Florence and shared all of the information, a lot of what had happened in Charleston. And he makes a good sell for revitalization for downtown.
He sure does. Beverly, are you involved in any other charities here in the Florence area, the greater PD, or the Carolinas for that?
Well, I serve on the McLeod Foundation Board, which is, of course, a nonprofit charitable board that helps to enhance some of the services provided by McLeod Health.
Any other, do you mind me asking, other charity? I'm sure you're, obviously all your activities in the musical groups are charities in themselves, because the opportunity to share the arts and culture with folks not only throughout the PD but from all over. The benefit of I-95 and I-20 is the ability in 501 and 76 to get folks in from everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. I have served on the with the PD Coalition, helping to renovate a house for abused children. I've done that in the past. But right now my focus is on downtown revitalization, Performing Arts Center, and the McLeod Foundation.
That's fantastic. Well, the Performing Arts Center is going to be an incredible coup for the area. How far along is the recognition of this going to fruition? How are funds being raised?
Right now, we've not had a formal fundraising. We're still in the process of getting our 501c3 Fornila Montanari status so that we can receive funds. We are, one of the most important things right now is our visibility in the community. And we have been Merrill Lynch out of Columbia has come to us and would like to sponsor our major fundraising kickoff.
Great.
So on May the 1st, we have a big fundraiser planned, and that will be the first big fundraising event.
Have they also offered a big donation or some naming rights to the center?
Well, not yet.
But that's
we'll
a great
see.
way. Yeah,
we'll see.
Maybe that'll happen. How often does the steering committee meet, Beverly?
We meet every month.
Okay.
And we also visit other, we've been out at Francis Marion with Dr. Carter, who has also given keen interest in our project and would like to see maybe Francis Marion be part of this effort.
That'd be great. And the city of Florence has supported the efforts?
Yes, the city of Florence, first of all, 3 years ago, hired a consulting firm out of Charlotte, HDR Enterprises out of Charlotte, to do a feasibility for all of downtown Florence. And that's the biggest gain that we received, is that the report came back that Florence could indeed support a performing arts center. So that's what the city has done for us, as well as given us from our committee visibility on the revitalization board.
And that is truly one of the biggest gains, just to get that recognition. Since '96, since your involvement with the steering committee, something that's been languished since the potentially, as you said, waxed and waned since the early '80s. Is there any accomplishment in particular of which you're most proud of your tenure as the chairman here of the steering committee, and just the involvement of getting the community involved? Is there any accomplishment in particular of which you're most proud?
I think it's the recognition that the city has given, that our effort is important. It's important because the arts are important. The arts play a big economic impact on the state of South Carolina. And I think that the city's recognizing that is our greatest accomplishment right now, because we do expect that the economic impact will be good for Florence. The whole state, $1.9 billion goes into the state from the art efforts. And what's that, $700 million in wages and 30,000 jobs just for the state of South Carolina. And I think now that our political leaders recognize that could be very important and can affect the quality of life here in Florence.
Definitely. You heard Beverley Hazelwood say it. The arts are important, not only for the PD, but for the state of South Carolina. The president of the steering committee for the Florence Center for the Arts, cheer her on. Beverley, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Stay tuned for more Carolina People coming up next. We want to thank Pete Sealer and Ed Young for making this week of Carolina People such a great success.